stop loving you, and no matter what you say or do. Next on Heels and Quads.
Look at all the people here tonight!
What's slow songs at all?
We're the new thing.
None of us are from California. That's how come we don't sound like the Eagles.
Habitué of Hollywood's star-sparked Sunset Strip. Hopping and bopping and popping with the best bet for the boss beat at the top of the pop smash gold. For those of you with the timely taste.
With Van Halen is we just finished our new album, and it's been in the making for quite a while here. We took most of the last year, 1983, to make 1984.
First of all, this is not the new Van Halen. This is the real Van Halen.
I mean, he can sing anything, low, high, in between. I mean, like a baby, come on.
We barely take each other into consideration.
The music is what honestly inspires the lyrics.
A couple singers.
Yeah, a couple, one, two.
Well, it certainly wasn't anything premeditated. It just kind of came.
Quit.
Yeah.
Has the whole story. It has everything that you need to tell a story, and it's over from the time when it starts to when it ends.
Yes, you can be spontaneous for 20 minutes. Those of you who've been married for longer periods of time know exactly what I mean.
Welcome back, Heels and Quads Media here on YouTube. I am Tommy, and I'm back with number 11 on my Van Halen ranking. The year's 1995, Van Halen, there's inner turmoil. As fans, we don't know that. But I've got to say this before I get into this album. I'm kind of liking the Sammy stuff. I always kind of just like, poo-pooed it, whatever. But doing this ranking, I've come to appreciate it a lot more. And I mean, I've always liked, like on this album, I've always liked Can't Stop Loving You. And a lot of the ballads I like from Van Hagar. But like these records, especially like 5150, which will be later on, but man, there's some rockin' tunes on some of these records. I'm really growing to appreciate Sammy in Van Halen. As hard as that is to say for me, always being a Diamond Dave guy, and I always will be. I mean, that to me is Van Halen. But the Van Hagar years are growing on me. It's moving up on my list. If you like what I'm doing here, you like this channel, you like these videos, make sure you're subscribed, like, comment, tell me down below where Balance ranks on your list. And what do you think about Sammy Hagar and Van Hagar or Van Halen? Are you more of a Sammy solo guy? Like, I love Sammy solo. I think he's got a great voice. He never really captured my imagination as the singer of Van Halen as a kid. As you get older, your music taste changes. Like, I didn't listen to a lot of 90s stuff even then when it was on the radio. I was listening to Van Halen and Kiss, of course, and Elvis and Whitesnake, even like country stuff, because that's what, after my mom and dad got divorced, that's what my mom listened to a lot, was a lot of country. Stay tuned. 1995, Balance. At number 11, Balance, released January 24th, 1995. Even though it landed at number 1 on the Billboard album charts, and it is a fantastic sounding album produced by the late Bruce Fairbairn, it definitely has its flaws. While I stated in the previous video, and I'll say it again, Eddie Van Halen is a guitar god, but 3 instrumentals hurts this album. Not saying that they aren't cool, it's just too much, and while the band was on the verge of being Sammy-less, I don't think that helps. They still managed to put out a decent record though. It's not a bad album, but it's just not a great Van Halen album. If a song like Can't Stop Loving You was a Sammy solo song, I think it would be more understood and more widely loved. I personally love the song, but I try not to think of it as a Van Halen song. The opening track, The Seventh Seal, is a killer song, even though I could do without the monk chant. Again, sound-wise it's good. Sammy sounds great. Great tone. Eddie's tone is incredible. Great harmonies from Michael, and of course, he and Alex play like they're one person. That rhythm section is always tight. It always has been. It's a sign of the times being a much darker, grittier album, which is the main reason it is so far down on my list, but it also gets my attention as a Bon Jovi fan, as well as a Van Halen fan, because it reminds me of These Days, the Bon Jovi record from the same year. And Van Halen just happened to open for Bon Jovi in Europe on 20 dates of the These Days tour. And while it's seems like to Van Halen fans like that's a knock on Van Halen for opening for Bon Jovi, but they have to remember, and we have to remember as Van Halen fans, but I'm split, while they're not headlining, Bon Jovi is like crazy popular in Europe and still is. Least favorite track? It's hard to pick because it's Van Halen, while Van Hagar, but I'm gonna go with Big Fat Money. It's just too damn wordy. It's fine musically, but it just doesn't fit the Van Halen sound or record. Favorite track? Can't Stop Loving You, notwithstanding. Because like I said, I don't think of it as Van Halen. So I'll go with Amsterdam. I've read that Eddie thought it was stupid. It was supposed to be about where he and Alex were born, Amsterdam, but it ended up being just a pot-smoking party song. It is Van Halen. Honorable mention, The Seventh Seal. Take out the monk chant, like I said before, please. But other than that, it's a really cool sound and it's a bit different. A bit contradicting, Tommy. But Sammy's tone and Rod Stewart's infatuation type of delivery sounds great. Speaking of tone, man, Eddie's guitar tone is killer, and not just on this song, but the whole record. Eddie said in an interview that Seventh Seal was actually a song that was written before Van Halen, which could also add to its cool factor, and it was nominated for a Grammy. Not that that necessarily makes it cool, but it's always cool when our favorite bands get a nod from the Academy. There it was at number 11 from 1995, Van Halen's Balance. The last record was Sammy Hagar. They would go on to do a reunion tour in 2004 before Dave would come back in 2007. This is before Van Halen 3, the previous number 12 ranking I did. Right after Van Halen 3 came out, I had a friend, his name was Shane, and he was a huge Van Halen fan, and I remember him listening to this album like over and over, and how much he said he wished that was the last Van Halen record, and either they should get back with Dave or, you know, Sammy should continue, and the Gary Sharon record should have never happened. And I always thought that was funny because, you know, even then I was more into Kiss. Like, I mean, I liked Van Halen, of course, but I was a Dave guy. I didn't care that it was Gary Sharon or Sammy. It's like, if it's not Dave, I don't really give a shit. That was then. Now, like I said, your music taste changes. Make sure you're subscribed, like, comment. Tell me if you saw Van Halen on this tour. Tell me if you're in Europe, tell me if you saw Van Halen open for Bon Jovi on the Balance / Ambulance tour / These Days Bon Jovi tour. I'd like to hear about that because I've seen video of it, obviously, from Wembley, and always thought that would be a really cool concert to see, would be Van Halen opening for Bon Jovi. Tell me what you thought about Alex and the neck brace. And then also, you know, what do you think about Balance? Do you like the dark, gritty Van Halen, or do you kind of like see this as the end? Or do you kind of see maybe Fuck as the end for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge as the end of Van Halen, and this is kind of like something else? What do you think? Tell me down below. I gotta get out of here. And I'll see you next time with number 10. Until next time. Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
I forgot the fucking word!